Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lynne Life. Well, it's the 13th anniversary of my wife Lynne's anoxic brain injury. So I want to devote the vlog this week to that and talk with Justin, who is the actual witness for what really happened. I wasn't here, he was. So let's get going. My name is Jonathan, and I'm a caregiver for my wife Lynne, who has a permanent brain injury. Things are a bit different now, but we're doing the best that we can. Join us as we experience the Lynne Life. February 9th, 2012 is when it happened. It's when I got a phone call from Justin. I was at work, and it was on a Thursday. I remember that, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was a Thursday afternoon. Justin had just gotten back from school, thank God, or Lynne would have been alone. And there would have been nobody here to save her life. So I'm going to interview Justin. We're going to talk about, in his words, what he actually saw and what they went through. And then I'll talk more about what happened afterwards. So let's start with Justin. All right, Justin. So it's February 9th, 2012. From what I understand, you were just coming home from school.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you walk in the door, and where was your mother?
She had been resting on the couch, I guess, while I was at school. And then she started having symptoms of what I thought was a seizure because she had a past history of seizures. But it actually ended up being the cardiac arrest.
So what actually happened? So what was she doing when you...
She just was kind of like seizing up on the couch. So I called 911.
You called me.
Well, I called you first. Then I called
me first.
Yes.
And that was before she was seizing. I remember you calling me and saying, I don't think Mom's doing well.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing well. And I was telling you, like, she was having a seizure.
Okay.
Because that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. And you called 911 as well.
Yes.
You had two cell phones on you.
Yes.
You had yours.
And the home phone.
No, your mother's.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
You had your mother's.
I couldn't remember what phone I was using at the time.
But remember, you called from your mother's cell phone.
Okay.
So you had two going on.
Yes. So, one for you, one for 911.
Yeah. Actually, what I remember is you calling me saying she wasn't doing too well.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'm going to come home.
Yes.
I hung up.
Mm-hmm.
You called me back.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you would call 911. And that's when you had the two cell phones.
Yes.
I remember that part.
Mm-hmm.
So you called me back the second time, but you had already called 911.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you told me that you'd call 911 and what. So what happened at that point after that? What do you remember? I mean, it was 13 years ago.
Once I called 911, then she had rolled off the couch, and I told the operator that her face was kind of turning blue and stuff. So they told me to just make sure she's not choking on anything and stuff like that, any saliva and stuff. Yeah. And they just stayed on the phone with me, instructed me what to do until the EMTs arrived.
And we had a dog.
Yes. And I took Buddy at the time and put him in the dining room.
Yeah, the dining room.
And closed the door so that way he wouldn't get in the way at all.
He wouldn't interfere. Mm-hmm. Right. Which was a good move. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking ahead. Mm-hmm. Right. And the emergency personnel came quickly?
Yes.
Very quickly?
Fairly quickly, yes.
And what was happening then?
Then they all were coming in. They were kind of addressing her. And I was on the phone with you, waiting for you to get back from work.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I remember.
All right. So that's the part that was happening before I got home.
Yes.
Yeah. So I left work knowing that Justin had just called 911 and an ambulance was coming. We were both. He thought she was having a seizure. I figured it was a seizure. We've been through this before because Lynne has, and I've mentioned this before on the channel, she has Gittleman syndrome. And Gittleman syndrome, if you don't already know, is very rare, but it's potassium and magnesium wasting. Your body cannot retain potassium, magnesium, and I think there's a little calcium too involved. But especially the potassium. Potassium affects muscles, and your heart is a muscle. So it can cause seizures, or you can go into something called tetany, where you seize up, and that's what we thought was going on. So we thought it was a matter of just getting your potassium in order, and she'll be fine again. I pulled in, I drove home. When I got up to our house, there was chaos going on. The front door was wide open. I couldn't even pull in my driveway. There was an ambulance there and other cars from the fire department. So it was a guy out front directing traffic. Not that there's a lot of traffic on it's a residential street. But I pulled in the neighbor's driveway and ran in the house. And there was, when I came in the door, they were giving her CPR on the floor in front of the couch. And there was Justin. He was only 12 years old. That had been scary.
Yeah, it was a lot of chaos happening down there.
So I went to Justin, to him, as they were working on Lynne. And I said, I remember telling him, I says, I think this is different because of the CPR. Says, this is a lot more serious. So they took Lynne out. They went off to the hospital, and Justin and I hopped in my car and followed. I remember getting to the hospital and going into the emergency, and you remember we were greeted by a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually a grief counselor because they figured she wasn't going to make it. And she was actually going. This counselor was going to be on her way home, and she was contacting and said a 12-year-old boy just called 911 about his mother, and she's gone into cardiac arrest, and she might not make it. So this woman stayed, mainly for him, but for me as well. And she was with us. We were sitting down in a room. And the emergency room doctor came in and told me that about her potassium, and they can't seem to stabilize it, and he gives her a 10% chance of survival. Remember that distinctly, because I remember it was like tunnel vision. All I could see was his face. It was I remember it distinctly, this feeling. I never had that before. And we gave her a 10% chance. And he wanted to know, should we continue to try to revive her? He was asking me if I should continue to if he should continue to try to keep her alive. And I said, yes. Keep trying. He goes, okay. And he leaves. And what is scary. And then I said her parents need to be notified. And the grief counselor said, well, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about that. Once you go in. So we went in to see Lynne, and she was there, and she was blue. She was blue, twitching a little bit. And they gave her last rites. A priest came in and gave her her last rites. Didn't look like Lynne was going to make it. But fortunately, it was a long road. It took 6 months from that point on to get Lynne home. 6 months. And not just in the hospital. We were in that hospital. From there, we went out to another place. She was in the hospital, I think, there in that facility for 2, 3 weeks, a couple weeks, anyways, and then she was transferred to another rehab facility out towards Albany, New York. I took a leave of absence from work. They gave me a paid leave of absence. I was for like 3 weeks, I think, and went out there, and I don't know the difference between acute and subacute rehab. I still don't know, but that was one of them. And then when she came back, she was put in the other. So if maybe that was acute rehab, and then she went into subacute rehab here, and that was a real long stay. Fortunately, I had good insurance, covered everything. She also had a pacemaker put in. That was out in Albany. But she did survive. And I remember it distinctly when we knew. First of all, she was unconscious, or she was put on like a, kind of like a coma on purpose, They were giving her that stuff they called milk of amnesia. It's the stuff that Michael Jackson actually was taking to sleep and ended up killing him. But they were making her sleep. And then I remember one day, the morning, they told me that they were going to take her off of that, and so she would wake up, and they had no idea what to expect, whether she'd recognize anybody or even be able to talk or do anything. She had had a feeding tube down her throat and stuff like that. So I was going in the morning that they said they were going to take her off that stuff that kept her asleep. And I had a cup of coffee. I stopped off at Dunkin' Donuts, came in. I kind of walked quietly in the room, and there's 2 nurses in there. And she's awake. She's moving. And she looks up at me, and she goes, "Where's my cup of coffee?" I almost started bawling right there. She knew who I was. She could talk. And I know there was a long road ahead, and I didn't know what to expect. But she was alive, right?
Yep.
It was alive. It was a long, long road. But we eventually got her home to the care that she's still receiving today. We had organized home health care services, which allowed me to go back to work, and she could stay in her own home. That's a godsend, because this is where she wants to be. She don't want to be in a nursing home. She didn't like it when she was there, and remember I thought maybe adult daycare would be a good idea.
Didn't like that.
Yeah, a bus would pick her up, the aide would put her on, she'd go there, and we did that for about a week. And she told me, she goes, "John, how come you're sending me to a place where everybody's old or disturbed?" I said, "Okay, you don't want to go there?" She goes, "No." I said, "Okay." So I called our coordinator, and we changed it. We changed the plan so that she would be home all the time with an aide. And that worked out. But boy, it's been a long, long ride. But we've discovered one thing, that Lynne is tough as nails. This girl is tough. She's gone through other things since, the breast cancer and all that. She survived all that, and she is tough, very, very tough. She won't say she's tough, but she is tough. And the other thing is, Justin's a hero. He's a hero because he got to it right away. He called. He didn't hesitate. When every second counts, when your heart completely stops and your brain is deprived of oxygen, every second counts. And I belong to several Facebook groups about, you know, caregivers who, of anoxic brain injury people have gone through that. And so many of these people with anoxic brain injuries are far, far worse than Lynne is. Many of them do not speak, cannot walk. They just kind of stare off, or they might grunt or something like that. But we don't have that. We have Lynne. She's full of personality. There isn't a day goes by she doesn't have me laughing in some way. Full of personality. I mean, every day is different. She has her tired days. Today's kind of a tired day, right?
Yeah.
I had her exercising a little bit today.
She was doing a word search too.
And she did do a word search. But while she was exercising, she did it with her eyes closed. She was trying to take a nap while pedaling. But yeah, it's been a long, long ride. And I was going to put something different up this week. But then when I realized that Sunday is the anniversary, the 13th anniversary, I decided, nope, let's change this up a little bit because we have a lot to be thankful for. So we're shooting this on the Thursday before, but Sunday won't just be Super Bowl Sunday. It'll be a day to remember what happened to Lynne, right? And to thank this guy for his quick action. He even thought about the dog and taking him out of the way.
Scouts helped me with that too, because I already knew first aid and stuff.
Yes, Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts. I highly recommend Boy Scouts for anybody out there. It helps young men become leaders. And so, yeah, Justin was recognized in Scouts for his bravery. But yeah, been a long road, and Lynne's doing well. And if I could revive Lynne, she's having a tired day. Maybe I have to shoot it tomorrow, but I want to put Lynne on camera too. We're going to talk about it a little bit with her as well. Hey, look who's here.
Lynne.
It's Lynne. And it is the next day. She was too tired to do it yesterday. So today, we don't have an aide this morning, so I said, this is a good time to do it. We can just sit here, got her ready, and we'll have lunch. You'll have lunch in about a half an hour. I'll make you lunch. Okay? And yeah, now you heard me playing back what I recorded yesterday with Justin, right?
It sounded good.
It sounded good, yeah. We were talking about what we went through 13 years ago. It'll be 13 years ago on February 9th. February 9th is the anniversary date. It was actually on a Thursday back in 2012. And went through a lot. I also mentioned to them how tough you are. You think you're tough? No? You don't feel tough? You are, though. You are tough as nails. Are you happy staying home?
Yes.
Yeah, you're happy you're home. You're with me. You're with Justin. Oh, put your legs down. Okay, just relax. And I got a pillow behind her to prop her up a little bit. Don't hit the tripod. Okay. And so that's what this video is about. It's just to kind of tell people more in depth of what went on 13 years ago. I don't think I've actually gone into this much depth before about what we went through. You gonna help me put a close on this video? What do we say at the end of the Lynne Life videos?
Goodbye. See you next time.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. How about this? We usually start with, we'll see you next time. Okay, ready? I'm going to count to 3. Look right at the camera. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We'll see you next time
On the Lynne Life.
on the Lynne.